Today's video is going to cover building and editing landing pages in ActiveDEMAND. There are many reasons for building a landing page, whether you're trying to improve your pay-per-click performance by having a targeted landing page with very little distractions, or if you're trying to promote an event, or if you're trying to, for example, set up an online survey. Any of these reasons, again, building a page in ActiveDEMAND is very easy, and as you'll see today, it produces exceptional results. So after you've chosen your design template, you'll be presented with this view, which is the editor view. And it's very similar to the email builder. And if you've been building emails in ActiveDEMAND already, you'll find most of the things or most of the elements of the design environment are the same. You get a lot more flexibility in the landing page builder than you do the email builder, because clearly the pages are rendered in a browser as opposed to in an email client. So you have a lot more flexibility from a design perspective and a scripting perspective, etc. So the view you see here, this is the editor, and on the left is the preview of the landing page that you're building. And it is a full what you see is what you get editor. You're literally engaging with this preview to design and edit and style your landing page. And then along the right, this is where your toolkit is available, and there will be sliders that pop out depending on what you're clicking, etc. So right at the top, you'll see really the URL for your landing page if you're building editing a published landing page. There's this concept of an expiry date, and this is good for if an event, for example, if you're building registrations for an event, once the event is passed, clearly you don't want to take any more registrations, so you would, in essence, expire the page and redirect it to some other page. You get the metadata, access to the metadata for your SEO in this window as well, plus you get some concepts here, which is a place to put custom JavaScript. This little button here, or checkbox rather, is for you to control who has access to this page. So if you're hosting an asset, for example, maybe a video or a white paper or etc., if this checkbox is unchecked, it will not allow anonymous visitors to access the page. And really what it'll do is, if you uncheck it, you'll have the option to select a registration page, which will have a form, what have you, that you collect the registration page to gain access to the landing page. And hide from sitemap, there's a sitemap that's auto-created whenever you build a landing page in ActiveDEMAND. This will hide it from the, remove it from the sitemap so that again the bots, etc., don't find it. Moving farther along, you have the style section of the page, and this allows you to choose one of your brands that you've built in the branding section, and there's another video that talks about that. And really what it does is there's a lot of linkages in the templates to the company's brand, and this allows you to choose one of the brands if you have an account type that has multiple brands. As well, you can override a lot of the elements, like here, for example, you can choose fixed, full width, or boxed. You can choose the background for the landing page. You can change the colors, unlink them from the current brand that is selected, font family, etc. So there's lots of options throughout the overall styling of the page as you go here. Plus, you have a custom CSS block that allows you to define your custom CSS classes that you can make reference to inside your landing page. The reality is, though, is that the page designer and builder is created so that you should be able to build landing pages without actually doing any custom CSS work, or even HTML for that matter. But for those advanced users, we definitely take the handcuffs off. You can definitely do some creative things with custom CSS. And then the next two elements I'll describe as I get into the editing of the page. Back to the preview, there's two buttons here. One is a preview page, and what that does is brings up a window like this, and what it is a live preview of the page as it would render in a browser. One thing to note is that this rendering does not render any custom JavaScript that you might have. It's just for safety's sake, as if you want to see how the page renders truly, you can go to the URL of the published page and see how the JavaScript impacts the page. And what this is showing you here is it allows you to test out the responsive nature of the page, and all assets, whether it's emails or landing pages in ActiveDEMAND, are fully responsive. And you have full control for the landing pages as to which elements appear and disappear, which style elements appear and disappear based on the different sizes here. So there's 4 size segments or configurations for the page, and you will see you have full access to all of this stuff. Or you can leave it as is. All the design templates that we have already configured a lot of the style elements to work seamlessly in a responsive nature. And for those that you do not know why we want responsive pages, the reality is that not everybody's looking at the page, your landing pages on a PC. So if there's a smartphone, really you want the page to convert. So the page has got to adapt to the size of the screen is the idea. So that's the preview button. There's a button here for add to library, and what this allows you to do is design this page. And if you're happy with the design of the page and know you're going to be building multiple pages using this design, you can add this to the template library. And that's, if you click it there, it goes into your page library, and then the next time you create a page, it will be available as one of the design templates for starting your next page. It's great if you're building a microsite. Is really you build the design. You can either do it here, or you can edit it directly in the page library, and then when you start creating multiple pages, you're starting from the same basic framework. So technically how the page is constructed is a series of rows, as you see here. Some rows have multiple columns, and then in the columns there are content blocks. So if you're designing from scratch, you will be making the choice as to what is the column structure of the current row you're editing. For example, this first row at the top is a single column row. This is a single column row, and then if you move down, you see this is a 2 column row, and it's 2/3, 1/3, which is really this row here. And if you want to add rows to your current page, you literally just drag the row from the layout block area here, and you create yourself a row. And if you design a row and you're happy with the design and you're going to be reusing it in the page or other pages, you can go over to the hamburger button here and save it to your library. And that archive, if you press that button, it'll actually show up in this layout blocks for not only this page but any other page. So I'm just, as I've shown here, is this hamburger button, and that's really for accessing some advanced features and style elements for the row. And it allows you to duplicate rows. It allows you, like I just showed you, archive the row for reuse, and or delete the row. And really, to move a row, you click on the hamburger, click and hold, and you can literally move the row wherever you want. This goes for any row on within the page. So you see here, there's a row, this 2 column row here. Again, I can just click it and move it up, and voila, it's now above the row that I had before. Or I can click the hamburger and go ahead and remove the row. So again, it's rows, columns, and stacked content blocks inside the column. And just to demonstrate that, there's the next piece here I want to show you is the content template. So I'll just step back here. If I had, for example, a 2 column row that I put here, what I need in that row are content blocks, and here are the content templates. And there's a bunch of stuff here that's already pre-built, and feel free to use them or build your own, and they'll be stored in this content block library here. So there's This is the multi-purpose widget, I should say content block. You drag it. It's a text block. As well, in the text block, you can have images inside that block, text and images, so it's a full editor. And really the idea here is that it is what you see is what you get. You edit in here, or if you want to gain access to the source code and do HTML changes, etc., go ahead and click on the source code button. So you get the full set of editing elements up here. So as you saw there, to get at the content block, all I do is click into the content block. It brings up this set of style or editing elements. So you are in content block edit mode, and you have access to many style elements, and as well you have access to embedding images into this block. And as well, there are dynamic fields. This page is rendered by ActiveDEMAND, and if we know, for example, if you send somebody to this page via an email link click, you could actually put in a personalized landing page for that person, and that's by accessing the dynamic fields. And there are a lot of dynamic fields available, as you know, and there is another video that talks about that specifically. But for example, if I wanted the contact's first name to be rendered on the page when they see this page, and it's a case that I would just insert this dynamic field here, and then when the page renders, it will replace the dynamic field with the person's first name. And there are other dynamic fields that are typically used on the templates, and you'll see, for example, tagline, the logo off of the brand. These are actually just dynamic fields here. So to get out of the edit mode of the content block, just click outside somewhere, and it'll bring you back into this layout mode. Actually, I'll move it to the bottom here for now. There it is there. Perfect. So now what I'm going to do is show you about stack content. So here I have two content blocks, and the content block, I'm just going to drag and drop. You can move these content blocks around, and you can move them to other rows as well. So it's a case that's fully flexible as to where, how you have your layouts. And there's many predefined, like I said, content templates. Like for example, this here template is the same as this slider. So this is a slider, and this slider was pulled from here and dropped onto the canvas to embed the slider. So many of the content blocks, if you look at the content block here, it's got some icons around the content block. This is an advanced edit for the content block, and depending on the type of content block, there are different options available to you in the advanced edit. This is the store the content block to the content block library for reuse, and that's this little button here. This is the style button for the content block. And I'll talk about styles in just a second. And then, of course, there's the delete content block button. Now I'll show you advanced edit. And this slider has some advanced features that are unique to the slider content block. And I'll just click here and you'll be able to see. This is where you access the images that will be put into the slider. So you have some advanced indicators, etc. for the slider. You can add images by clicking here, etc. So the point is that again, there's an advanced edit for many of the content blocks, and it's unique to the type of content block. You can access the styles for this specific content block within advanced edit always, but again, I'll be talking about styles just in a second here. So another element, so some of the basic ones, is the text block. There's the banner, which is a special type of block for, it's similar to the slider, but it only takes one image. Buttons are great for calls to action, and literally you drag the button, click the link, and you can fully style the button. And again, I'll talk about styles in just a second here. And then there's, I talked about the slider already, an image block. Again, you can just drop an image here, it'll bring that up. and you click on the image, it brings out a slider, and then you can take images from the library or upload images, etc. And I'll just go ahead and delete that. So it's a case that now I've covered the concepts, and a very important, actually I want to talk about the spacer. This spacer is a very useful content block type, because really what it does is it helps you add some quick spaces to inside your page. So if and you can move it around like any other content block, so it's good, great for alignment, this type of stuff. Now I'm going to talk about styles. So every content block has a style that's fully configurable. Every column has a style. Every row has a style. So any content block has a style. The columns have a style as well. The row has a style. So I'll start off with the row styling. So if I just click the hamburger button, you'll see row styles, and that will give you the style elements for that row. And the style elements are similar to for each of the elements, but I'm just going to walk through how you access those style elements. So to begin with, expand columns to the same height. This is very useful for multiple blocks inside a single column. It'll try to expand the columns to match the tallest column within the page. And background colors for the row, the text color, default text color for the row, shadows, borders, and spacing, which is your padding, default padding around the row, as well as the margins, top and bottom margins. Now, if you look on every style element here, you'll see this advanced button. The advanced allows you to choose which of the screen sizes this styling applies to. So really, again, you have full control, whether it's borders, you'll see as well, shadows. Maybe the shadows look great on the larger screen sizes, but they don't look so good on the small size, like a cell phone or mobile phone, what have you, or maybe the tablets, they look a little bit funny. So you have full control of the styling elements, not just on the row, but any of the other elements like the content blocks as well as the columns. So to access the column styling, it's in the hamburger as well. This is column 1 and this is column 2, and it wraps all of the content blocks in styles just by, again, clicking on the style button here. And finally, there's the style element for the content block, and you'll see there's actually an added feature on the content blocks. It's display. So you can actually choose which size of screen this content block will show up in. So for example, maybe you have a spacer. The spacer looks great to align things on the big screen, but on the mobile phone it just looks, it's just this gap where you don't want it. So you can choose to say which size of screen the element will be displayed in, as well as you have the full control over the style elements around the content block, etc. And everything, again, has control in the advanced edit as to which size the styling will apply to. Now I want to cover forms, because typically the landing page will have a form. And as you see here, there's a form element. You can drag the form element onto the canvas. Now, forms have a lot of aspects to the form that are only accessible via the advanced edit. So if you click here, you will get the advanced edit screen for the form, and just like a slider and even a button or any of these elements, there is an advanced edit screen that opens up and gives you access to some of the features, etc. So when you're designing a form, really there's the drag and drop elements here, and like you see here, there's the content, the first name, last name, and again the editor is fully drag and drop. And if you wanted to do a survey, you can add checkbox matrices, and whether the the field is required is accessible. And typically all you do is just click on the element, drag it around, and if you click it, you should be able to just edit it as well. So there's a lot of good fields here, and if you have this hooked up to, you can have Google Recaptcha, and there is a help section on how to add a Google Recaptcha block to your account, and once you have that, you can add it to any form. So a lot of things that you have access to for doing custom surveys or custom form fields, etc. And you have some access to where the elements will reside. You do have a custom CSS block, but most of the stuff on the form you can, from a styles perspective, is available on the style for the content block, or here, which is the same window that you would get if you clicked on the style gear on the content block in the main editor. Now, the next thing with a form, if you've used ActiveDEMAND, you know any form, whether it's a web form and it's exported to your website, or you're using the web API, or a landing page form, there is this Autoresponder Workflow that's built into the form or associated with the form. And this is accessible from inside the form editor, as well as it's accessible from the autoresponders tab here, or in the if this was a landing page that was part of a campaign, there's a tab that would appear for accessing the autoresponders inside the pages for the campaign. But again, where you would typically access it is once you design the form, you open the form, you have access to the workflow editor, and there is a video that covers the workflow editor. But again, right here, the idea is that there's an autoresponder that is built, autoresponder workflow that sends a nice email to the person who's filled out the form. And if you don't want to use this generic email that's created when you first build the page, it is linked to a system template, so you can just press the unlink button. It will unlink this from the system template, and it will make it so that you can fully edit and customize the autoresponder. You can add as well other elements to the, maybe you want to tag this prospect, or maybe you want to add them to a list, etc. So there's maybe you want to add a weight and then send another email after the weight. So there's lots of capabilities in the autoresponder workflow. And finally, after the form is filled out, what happens is it's got to go to a confirmation page, and the confirmation page is auto-generated, and you have styling. You can style this at the confirmation page styling tab here, or you can redirect this to your own page, which is just some URL. Or you can add a call to action button to this landing page, the confirmation page, rather, to again take the person saying, "Hey, here's another offer. You've clearly registered for this one. Click here for some other offer." So lots of features and capabilities inside the form editor, and again, that is. Again, now that we've closed it, again, the event, how you get access to those. Once again, to access the form editor, you click on the pencil button here to get at the form. And you can, again, access the style elements of the form by pressing the gear, delete the form here as well. So there's, again, depending on the type of content block, there is an advanced edit for that content block. Clearly, a spacer, there isn't much to edit other than the size of the spacer, so there's no pencil on this one here. And there's other elements that you can add to your page, for example, a Google map, and again, this is just it uses the address for the account, and uses the Google Places setting for the specific the landing page. There's lots of other ones you can mix and match and play, etc. And the reality is, any of these templates, you pretty much have free reign to do what you want, and you can make any one of these templates look like one of the other templates just through editing. So that pretty much concludes the basics of landing page building. I know there's there's a creative element to designing your own templates, and there's enough features and capabilities. This is a very powerful editor. You can match your landing page to pretty much any website that's out there with the capabilities of the landing page.